Hello everybody. Welcome back to our little tarot corner. Allie from Tarot here with the next segment in my deck collection video. So today I thought we would take a look at my older decks, my vintage decks. These are decks that, as far as I know, are from the approximate 70s. Maybe a couple a little sooner, but most of them are around from the 70s, I believe. Don't quote me. I may be wrong on a couple, but anyway, yeah, I thought we could look at my vintage decks. So let's dive right in. So the first one, this is my original Hoypolloi tarot. This is in a bag made by Kelly Bear, and it is where I love to keep, like I said, my vintage Hoypolloi tarot. So this deck in particular was released, the back say 1972 is the copyright on this. Now, the Hoypolloi, for those of you who are not familiar, is kind of a Rider-Waite Smith clone that was released back in the 70s with a little bit more of the very highly glossy, sorry about that, but it has the very funky colors and the interesting type font. Now, I also have the Moon Baby Tarot by Brent Palazzo, which is the modern take on this deck. It's essentially this deck kind of recolored, but this is the actual original Hoypolloi. The box that it came in, I have one shelf on my bigger shelf back here. One whole shelf is dedicated to all these decks that I'm about to show you. I keep them all together in one space. And so the actual box with it is up there, but it was actually created and sold kind of as a game. So it has instructions for how to play different tarot games. I've not delved into that yet, but I thought it looked pretty interesting. It's so funny to me that we're kind of seeing a resurgence of tarot now, because, you know, back then it was a game, you know. Cardstock on this deck, it's pretty decent. It is shiny and a little papery, but pretty easy to shuffle. I don't mess with it too much since I have Rider-Waite's and I have my Moon Baby Tarot that is newer. So this one gets left on the shelf a lot of time, but that is my Hoypolloi. Next is my vintage copy of the Aquarium Tarot. Let me scoot these out of the way. I now have a new mass market tuck box version as well, but this is my vintage copy that I got on eBay with the 2-part box. This one was copyrighted in 1970, so you can see it's kind of got some wear and tear there. I ended up purchasing the regular modern mass market version because I didn't want to damage this one. Most of these really are truly for collecting. I do use them occasionally, but I'm a bit more delicate with them. So, but if you've seen the Aquarian, you've seen this deck. It's another kind of retro deck, I feel like, with the muted colors and the super washed out faces. What's interesting is, in comparison, my mass market current Aquarium Tarot is not as brightly colored. Like, let's take a quick example. So I'll hold them up. I don't know if it was just a misprint on mine or what, but yeah, my mass market one is much more washed out, I feel. I'm just gonna grab the Empress card so that you can see. Should have thought about this beforehand, but what do you do when you haven't released a video in a while? You just get on and chat, right? I hope you all are enjoying your Friday. Hope it's treating you well. That's not the Empress. It has been a beautiful day here in lovely Oklahoma. It is a day off work, ran some errands this morning, got some coffee as per usual because duh. And now we're just kind of hanging. So I'm looking very much forward to some good sleep this weekend. Here we go. Okay, finally. So this one, oh, and the mass market has a white border on the backs, and the vintage does not. They're a little bit bigger. The mass market is a tiny bit thinner than the vintage one too. But you can see the difference there. This is my mass market. So it's a lot more washed out. And all of the cards are that way. Again, I don't know if maybe mine was just kind of affected, but I don't mind. I think it's beautiful. And now I love having this copy to be able to rough up, so to speak. So that is, get back in there. That is my vintage Aquarium Tarot. This is another one that cardstock on it isn't horrible. Definitely still shuffleable, but again, decks were made back then on a little bit more papery or cardboardy cardstock, so I don't mess with it too much. And of course, actually when I got it off eBay, I think the person had an extra instruction book, so I have 2 of the guidebooks for the deck. So fun little tidbit. Anyway, that's the Aquarium Tarot. Next is a deck that is not that exciting, but also exciting. So this is a classic yellow box Rider Waite. My grandmother gave this to me, and it was something that she had from, I want to say, her grandmother. So apparently in my family there were some tarot readers. My grandma never read, but she had these. And so yeah, so these are kind of a cool little piece. So the really interesting thing about these are copyright 1971 is when these are from. So it's the classic Rider Waite, as you've seen it before. The only crazy thing about this one is it is pure plastic. It is bright, shiny lamination, and it's complete and utter plastic. So definitely durable, but kind of sticks to itself a little bit. But yeah, it's just cool to have these, you know. It was neat. I did not expect my grandma to have tarot decks. She, as I said, does not read tarot, and she knows that I love tarot, and she found these and gave them to me. So while it is not some crazy, outlandish, weird, funky deck that you never see anymore, it's just a Rider Waite. It's still cool to me and kind of sentimental. So that's my 70s Rider Waite. Next is my new Golden Dawn Ritual Tarot. A lot of these older decks I picked up from Half Price Books. I got that from Old Soul Mermaid, Bonnie. While I was working and traveling for work, my last assignment, I had a Half Price Books, 2 Half Price Books in that city actually. So I would occasionally go to them and look at their decks. And this was in there one day, so I scooped it up. And these are the backs. This is definitely more a Thothy based deck, which I'm just kind of now more getting into Thoth. As a matter of fact, I ordered a Tabula Mundi and it arrived today. So I cannot wait to dive into that one. It's got the Thoth keywords underneath, like for the 2 of Pentacles, it's harmonious change, and you've got the astrology there, and very reminiscent of Golden Dawn and Thoth, but it's kind of cool. I kind of just liked the artwork. For some reason, don't come for me. I feel like using this deck, it kind of is a, I don't know. I almost feel like just reading it like I do my Rider Waite and not reading it with Thoth. But I know that like, see this definitely Thoth, the 9 of Cups, material happiness. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting deck. Again, I don't mess with it too much, but it's kind of neat to have, and it was copyrighted. Okay, so this one's from 1993. So as I said, they're not all super, super old, but old enough. I mean, that's nearly, what, 20 20 years old? No, 30 years old next year. So, but yeah, that is the Golden Dawn Ritual Tarot. Next, we will go for my vintage medieval Capini Tarot. I say vintage. This one was printed in 1985 by US Games. This was another eBay find for me. You can see the box is all torn and heavily taped, so I'm very gentle with this box. I did not know much about the medieval Capini until I saw it on someone's channel, I can't remember, and I decided that I wanted to own it because it is so weird and so strange, and I found this one for a great deal online. These are the backs. These are kind of funky because they're a little bit longer than tarot size, but they're a tiny bit wider, but mostly longer, so they're kind of an interesting shape. But this deck is definitely quirky, and you've got kind of the gold inlay in the back. It's not true gold, but it's kind of reflective like gold. It makes it very interesting. There's some more lights, sorry about that. But there's a lot going on in these cards. Focus, focus. Don't look at my face, look at the card. Not gonna focus? Okay, well, we tried. But yeah, definitely an interesting deck. Like all the stuff down here on this hermit, you have some sort of like duck. Here, I'll try and show it. I don't know if it'll work, but it's kind of like a focus. No. Well, this thing is like a duck, platypus, shark thing, and we have some tiny boats, like Viking boats here and here. This is a paper boat, so like it's just weird. It's just weird and kooky. There's one card where there's like members of the KKK on the bottom, and I remember not noticing that until I saw this deck on Catomancy Tarot, her channel. And yeah, the Empress around her throne, she's beautiful, but down here are the major arcana. So you can kind of see it's just like all the major arcana cards around her throne. So I don't know why it's not really focusing to give you detail. I'm so sorry, but that's the medieval Capini, just a really weird deck. And I've had a lot of fun interacting with it every now and then. It's just kooky. It's just kooky. I like it. In the same vein, the next deck is also a Capini deck. It is a deck that I also found for a very great deal, and it is the Tarocchi de Giulietta y Romeo, otherwise known as the Shakespeare Tarot, and again, Luigi Capini. This one is cool in the way that it opens. So the inner part slides out. You can tell it's also all beat up and old and fragile. I wonder, I'll have to look in the books. I don't remember what year this is from. But then the inner part, it opens like that, and it's an envelope, and from there the cards are taken out. So it's like a long tuck box inside. Interesting packaging, and the inside kind of looks like an old quilt or like a tapestry, kind of like woven together. Just interesting. These cards are quite a bit bigger than the medieval Capini Tarot. These are massive for my small hands, but these are the backs, kind of reminiscent of the medieval Capini in a way, but they are different. This deck, as it suggests, is all about Shakespeare. So there's influence from Shakespeare's works, whether that is Romeo and Juliet or King Lear or Macbeth. It's just a very interesting deck. There's always a lot to look at. And you can see the background on this is kind of, again, it's kind of that faux gold looking background. Gosh, and they're all so glossy too. Sorry about that. Let's see. Trying to find, let me go ahead and find the one that I know is from Shakespeare. From Shakespeare. It's the whole deck, Allie. Gosh, why aren't you guys stopping me when I talk stupidly? Come on. Yeah. This isn't one specifically from Romeo and Juliet, but this is the Nine of Cups, and you've got all these little kids just in their creepy little faces. I so wish that this focused better. I don't know. Let's see if this one does now. Oh, here we go. Okay. So the Death card is Romeo and Juliet in the crypt after they've drunk the poison. And you've got dancing skeletons in there with them. Just... what? So it's very weird. And how can you not love it? Capini's work was just all strange. And obviously the pips are kind of Marseille style. But it's just neat. It's neat. There's lots of references, like I said, in Macbeth, or from Shakespeare's works, and it crosses all kinds of plays. The guidebook is in 2 different languages. It's in English, and then if you flip it over, I believe it's in Italian. But each card in here talks about where it's from. So let me read. I mean, I told you what the card is from, but let me read like what the card says. So the Death card, right? We had Romeo and Juliet dead in the crypt with the skulls. So it says, to dodge the dangers of coming face to face with the image of death, I had painted in the medieval Capini Tarot, where he was Shiva's dance. I want this time to have 2 different contestants on the ring, as in a match. Romeo's death rising up, yang, and Juliet's squatting down, yin. So those are the skulls, or the skeletons we saw. The 2 death figures stage a ritual dance on the lover's empty tomb, and they break into lipless grinning at the thought they are instead jumping around a fountain tub. Yet Romeo and Juliet lie entwined, tragically perished, but 2 corpses, and the green poison mixes up with the dark blood of the dagger to start another dance of yin and yang. Cool. Cool. So that's the Shakespeare Tarot by Luigi Capini. Oh, I was going to look up when this was published, wasn't I? I forgot. This one might not even tell me. That side didn't. That didn't either. It's a mystery deck. I can tell you it's old. Don't remember what year it's from, but I can tell you it's old. I'm nothing if not thorough. I do all my research prior to turning the camera on. No, I don't. Anyway, there's that one. Aren't you glad I'm back? Aren't you glad you just have this entertainment to look forward to today? Aren't you having a great time? I know I am. Okay, just a couple more. The next one is in a beautiful Daturus Embry bag, and it is my vintage copy of the Mythic Tarot. This is the one with the black backs, and it was published in 1986. The Mythic Tarot is all about ancient Greek, Roman, gods, the pantheon. What is the word I'm trying to think of? Oh no. Just mythology. You have characters like Persephone and Hercules and all kinds of characters. Zeus, I believe Demeter makes an appearance in this deck. I know that this Justice card is someone, but I forget who. But it's a very, very beautiful deck. I enjoy it a lot. I found it, again, for a good price on eBay. I basically went through a phase where I wanted to collect vintage decks. That's all I was interested in. You know, I may occasionally scoop up a mass market or something at Barnes & Noble or Books A Million just out and about, but I really, for a good chunk of time, was focused on old vintage decks. So this was just part of that wave. I know that they've released a new version, but the artwork is a little bit different, and I think the cardstock is obviously different too, since it is a new version. And the cardstock on this, what's crazy is it is paper thin. Like, you could easily tear a card. So I'm very delicate with this deck. And as I've said with all my other ones, I don't bother this one too much. But that is the Mythic Tarot. The package that it comes in is up on my shelf, and it came with the guidebook, and it also came with a big spread cloth that had the Celtic tree spread on it. I keep that cloth in my drawer and the guidebook down on my bookshelf, but the box is up there. I have all the original packaging. It's very torn up and messed up, but that's what makes them beautiful, right? So where do we go next? I guess we'll go for this one. So this one is called the Ninth Dimension Tarot. This is in a bag by Crochet Witch Wares, Miss Krista. And the box for that one is also up on my shelf. I found this at a local metaphysical shop. They have like what they call a collector's box, and that's where they keep the older vintage decks like that. Every time I go in, I'm like a fiend. I'm like, psst, hey, what you got in the collector's box? Let me see it. Let me look in it. It's fine. They love when I show up. I go every like couple months. It's not like I go all the time. Anyway, but this is another deck that was intended as a game. The guidebook to it talks about playing tarot. So this was printed by St. Croix Incorporated in 1971. And these are the backs. This one is just a good time. This one is definitely Pip style, but the artwork is just weird, and it's very colorful. It is all black line work with color, obviously, as you can see. I want to say, who was it? Was it Meg? I feel like it was Meg who also has this deck. Yeah. Or it may have been Lumeria Star. I don't remember. One of them has this deck, and I got this, and then a while after I saw their video and I was like, oh, they have that too. I never see anybody with this deck. Anybody, ever. It's just a fun, funky, the face cards and the court cards are so weird. So weird. But it's a good time. It's a good time, and obviously it's an easy reader. And again, just like the Mythic Tarot, this is paper, like old school playing cards where you could easily just rip it. So that is my Ninth Dimension Tarot. Okay, 3 more, not too bad. So next we have my beautiful, I'm gonna mispronounce it, I do every time. Again, this is another bag from Krista, Crochet Witch Wares, and I use it to house my Kazanlar Tarot. I butcher that every time, and I'm so sorry. This is another deck that I found on eBay. There is a new version of the deck that you can order with a big guidebook. I'm considering maybe purchasing the guidebook only because I know that there's more information in it than is provided in the little white book. Also, this this book does give some pretty good information. This is all in English, so this is the whole deck. So pretty meaty for a little white book. But yeah, I'm debating on getting the new guidebook just because I know it would give me more information. Also, on the new version, I don't know if the backs are different. These are the backs on this one. Very pretty. This is a smaller deck. It's a little bit bigger than poker size, but not quite standard tarot size. So it's very comfortable in my little baby bear paws. This deck focuses a lot on European folklore. Let me just read the back of the box in case you're unfamiliar with this deck. The spiritual roots of tarot are to be found in the three great monotheist religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In his convincing interpretation, Dr. Emil Kazanlar, I'm so sorry again, reveals new and unexplored connections with these religions. So it kind of dives into those corners of the world and the way that they present. It's very, very busy. As you can see, you've got not only the very detailed imagery, but also the astrology. You've got multiple languages down here, kind of reminiscent of Los Scarabeo decks. You've also got the Kabbalah reference, and so this is just a very, very in-depth deck, but it's very beautiful. As I was saying, though, the new version of this deck, I don't know if the size is different, but I do know that instead of the gold borders, they're now black borders instead of the gold. But yeah, this deck, there's so much to look at and see and a lot to dive into. It's one of those, I actually sold it to a friend of mine, Hey Mama Joe, and she didn't necessarily bond with it the way she thought she would. And so I bought it back from her because I missed her. I didn't think I would, but I missed her. She's just very, very interesting, and she's got a lot to teach. So I really just wish my camera would focus better. Oh, it's so annoying. But yeah, I mean, just look at this single card. Look at all the detail. Yeah, it's a fun deck for sure. And I'm very glad I have her back. So that is this deck. I'm not going to butcher it again because I know all of you, I'm sure, who have familiarity with this deck and the pronunciation are like, oh my God, probably yelling at me right now. Sorry. Also, this version is copyrighted in 1996. So that is that deck. Two more. One kind of comes with a story, so we'll save that one for last. But this is the next to last, a deck also very heavily influenced by Catomancy Tarot, and that is the Tarot Piatnik Wien. However you say it. This one is beat to hell. But I found it on eBay from someone who the box had damage from just shelf life, but the cards are pristine. They never used it. It just was something that sat on their shelves. Like this box, it's so old that it just falls open when I open it. It just kind of, and the sides are torn off of the tuck. So it's literally just the flap. That's all that closes it. So I very delicately handle this box. But this deck is from, let's see. I don't know that this one tells me either. Oh, nope. Yep, this is another one of those mystery decks. I want to say this was 70s as well, though. I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, it's another large deck, big for my hands. Oh, 1974. There you go. That's when it's from. You can't really see it. Why can you not? I don't know. Anyway, it says tarot and it says 1974. So those are the backs. You got the wands, the cups, the swords, the pentacles, a little sun and moon, and big boy, big chunky boy. Granted, again, I have small hands, but it's quite a beast. So it came with some informational cards. And the cool thing about this deck is that it is Marseille style, but it reminds me of a modern sake. Like, look at this death card. Oh my gosh. I say modern. Sake is way more recent than this deck. It reminds me of an older version of the sake. There we go. That's what I meant to say. Again, you can see that there are pips. The minors are color coordinated. So the swords obviously are in yellow. And then you have your wands, which are in pink. And then you have your cups, which are in green. They're beautiful. And then you have pentacles, which are blue. So it's the weird thing about this deck too is they numbered all 78 cards. So if you put it in their order, this Four of Pentacles would be card number 30. And it has the Roman numeral for the card as well. So, and then it also has kind of what feels kind of a little bit like playing card. It's not true playing card associations, but you can see on the cups there are hearts, and on the pentacles there are squares or diamonds. On your wands there are these little symbols right here, and then on your swords we do have an image that does look like spades. So kind of interesting. So yeah, Marseille style minors, pip style minors. Your court cards are obviously Marseille style with the French valet de coup. And then you have your Queen of Wands, and again, card number 66. Very, very colorful. Oh, I guess there's the club for where you see number 66, you see the club. It's just cool. It's just fun and bright. And once I saw it in her video, in Capini Tarot's video, I had to try and immediately hunt it down. And I'm so glad that I did, because it is so cool. And I'm very, very glad that it was so affordable for me on eBay, and I'm very, very glad that it was in such great condition. Like I said, the cards are perfect, never touched, or not really touched. Slight bow, but that does not bother me at all. But they're perfect. They're perfect. And if you just fan them all out, it is so satisfying. Look at this color. So yeah. Great fun deck. I mean, look at the sun. Oh, and every other card. Oh, but she stayed up. She stayed up for you so you could see. Yeah, I love this deck. It's so weird and fun, and it's been a joy to get to know. So that is my Tarot Piatnik Ween from 1974. Thank you, Capini Tarot, for inspiring me to get that deck. And now we come to our last one. So, story time. Buckle up. I went to a local metaphysical shop, the one I referred to earlier when I was telling you about their collector's box. I asked to see what was in it, and they had this one. I, for the longest time, knew nothing about this deck. They didn't know anything about this deck. So first of all, I'm just going to show you the box. It's very, very shiny. So you have some symbology, a shiny black box, ooh, Inception. And the bottom here says Sara Lee Corporation. Yes, you heard that right. Sara Lee Corporation, as in the bread company. With me? Yeah, weird, right? Then it's all taped and busted and broken. It takes no effort to open and close the box anymore. And then the back says, Abracadabra, take a look into your future. Bring your deck of tarot cards with you to the Sara Lee Corporation Mardi Gras Media Party at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 7th at Hotel 21 East. Tuesday, February 7th of what year? We don't know. Why was there a Mardi Gras party and why were they handing out tarot? We don't know. Just weird. Tried to look up all kinds of information about this Mardi Gras party and when it would have occurred. Couldn't find anything. The store owner gave it to me for a hella deal because he was like, I'm really not sure what this is and I can't find much information, so I don't know how rare it is. So he gave me a good deal on it. The backs look like this, plain gray with this little symbol. No guidebook, no little white book in it at all. I will ruin it for you by telling you the name of the deck because I did eventually figure out that this is what I want to call, now of course I forget it, I believe it's the Elemental Tarot. Yeah, so it is a deck that already existed, but it was a deck that I did not know existed, and I did not know, this was just some random mystery deck for the longest time for me, and I planned to make a video to show you guys this deck, and I didn't because I finally figured out that that's what this deck was. But I mean, if you didn't know about that deck, if you didn't know that this deck existed, if you didn't recognize the art like I didn't, you're sitting here going, Sara Lee, a bread company, had a Mardi Gras party and handed out tarot cards as a favor and told people to bring tarot cards with them to this Mardi Gras party. When? What year? Like, it was really, really random, and I got a chuckle out of it. And then come to find out the tarot deck's name, which is still really cool. And it's a very, very interesting deck. I have it in order because I have been kind of slowly looking at it and going through. What I really like is that each color, or each suit rather, is color coded. So you have the majors, which are like a dark blue, and then you have the wands, which are red. Then you have the cup suit, which is like a purple. Then you have the swords, which is like a light blue. And then you have the pentacles, which is green. Now, the thing about this is, as the name suggests, it is very elemental. So as you go through the suits, it kind of describes different variations or different versions of said element. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But I want to start out by showing you the cool thing on the majors is, if you'll notice, there's writing on both sides of the card. Now, this is the Emperor, card number 4. You can see it at the top corner there. It's got the Astrology Association, and the artwork is just really funky and cool and weird. And it's got the little symbol down here, which I'm assuming is just showing the majors. Yes, because then you have the fire suit, which is triangles, and you have the cups, which is the moon, and then, no, I'm sorry. That's not cups, isn't the, yeah. And then you have the light blue circle, which is the air, and then you have the green square for the pentacles. So the symbols at the bottom are different. But then the writing on the side. So on one side, it says, I am the ruler of my offspring. On the other side, it says, and my power is from him. Then you go, let's see. I want to show you the one for the hermit, or in this deck, the shaman. So it's called Will. And it says, in my weakness, do not forsake me. Do not be afraid of my power. So I thought that that was really cool. And then for fate or change or the wheel, we have, I am control and the uncontrollable. And on the other side, it says, do not be ignorant of me. Be on your guard. So it's just wild. Just wild. Death is transformation. And it says, I am the one whom they call life and the one whom you call death. Thought that was pretty cool. So it's just very, very neat. And then, so then you get into the minors. So let's start with the fire suit. So the ace of fire, the ace of wands is lightning. 2 is flame. 3 is beacon. 4 is hearth. So you see what I mean? Like the keywords on the cards definitely correspond with a variation of the element. 5, we have furnace, very apt. 6, we have torch. 7 is meteor. 8 is volcano. 9 is radiance. 10 is flare. And then you have your daughters for your pages, your sons for your knights, your mothers for queens, and fathers for kings. So it's just very cool. And then in your cup suit, you have fountain, spring, spa, moat, sudden rain, oasis, ocean, well, lake, coastal water, and then daughter, son, mother, father. In the air suit, you have breath, zephyr, breeze, ozone, storm, open air, wind, cloud, thunder, and cyclone. And then your court. And in your pentacles, you have seed, plant, fruits, clay, quake, harvest, avalanche, mountain, forest, and desert. And then your court. So such a fascinating deck. But again, I didn't know anything about it, so it really tripped me out for the longest time. And I thought that I had something, I guess, a lot more rare and a lot more special and unique. But I still consider it pretty nifty and different, you know. So anyway, that is it. Those are all of my vintage decks. Thank you so much for being here and enjoying this with me. I hope you didn't mind my rambling. As always, we know what this channel is. It's just me getting in front of my phone and talking to you about what I love. So, yeah, thank you again, and I will see you soon. Till next time, bye guys.